You see these formulas? They might look like just a bunch of math, but honestly, this is the secret language of professional lighting design. Today, I'm going to show you how these simple-looking equations are the key to transforming any empty room into a beautifully lit space. Stick with me, and you'll see exactly what I mean.
So, how do the pros really do it? How do they walk into a totally empty room and just know what to do? Well, it's not magic, it's a process. And today, I'm going to walk you through the exact workflow we use on every single project, step by step.
And to make this real, we're going to tackle a project together. Here's our canvas, a simple studio apartment. We're going to take this complete blank slate and build a professional lighting plan from the ground up, using our little toolkit of formulas.
All right, let's get to it. Before we even think about what style of light or where it goes, there's one really big question we have to answer first. It's the foundation of every single lighting plan. This is always step one. We need a target for the total amount of light in the room. We measure this in lumens, and you can just think of lumens as the raw quantity of light. Now, to figure out our target number, we turn to our most important formula. Now, what's really interesting here is the bottom half of this formula, the UF and MF. The top part, that's just your required brightness times the area. That gives you the ideal amount of light in a perfect world. But UF, the utilization factor, that accounts for light getting soaked up by walls and ceilings. And MF, the maintenance factor, well, that accounts for light loss as the fixtures get older and dustier. These two numbers right here are what separate a beginner's guess from a professional's plan. So, let's run the numbers for our studio. We need 200 lux over 12 square meters, so ideally, that's 2400 lumens. But then we factor in those real-world light losses, our UF and MF, and we find we need to divide that ideal number by 0.48. And boom, suddenly our target jumps all the way to 5,000 lumens. We need more than double the ideal amount to get the job done in the real world. And this right here, this is the #1 lesson for any new designer. If you just calculate for that perfect, ideal world, your final design is going to feel dim and just underwhelming. You have to plan for reality, and the reality is you're pretty much always going to need more light than you think. Okay, so we have our target, 5,000 lumens, but what does that actually mean? You can't go buy a 5,000 lumen. So the next step is to turn that number into actual physical light fixtures on our floor plan.
This is the bridge from the abstract calculation to the actual design. How do we take our total light budget and divide it up among individual lights? Well, the answer, thankfully, is another pretty simple formula.
This one's about as straightforward as it gets. We just take our total lumen target, that 5,000, and we divide it by how many lumens a single light fixture that we like produces. This is the exact moment our math turns into a shopping list. So for our studio, let's just say we've picked out a nice downlight that produces about 1,000 lumens. We take our total of 5,000, divided by 1,000 per fixture, and the answer is clean and simple. We need 5 lights.
And just like that, we can place those 5 fixtures right on our floor plan. See that? The design is really starting to come to life. But of course, this leads to the next crucial question.
Right. You can't just toss them up on the ceiling wherever you want. Placement is everything. If you space them badly, you get these ugly dark patches and harsh hotspots. So how do we get that smooth, even, professional-looking layer of light?
For this, we use a really simple rule of thumb. It's called the spacing rule. A fantastic starting point is to space your lights apart by a distance that's roughly equal to the ceiling height. This is your golden rule for getting those cones of light to overlap just perfectly for smooth, even coverage. So in our studio, the ceiling is 3 meters high. Applying the rule, we should aim to space our 5 fixtures roughly 3 meters apart from each other. And that gives us a logical grid to work with, which ensures we don't have any of those awkward dark spots in the room. Okay, our plan is almost there. We know how much light we need, how many fixtures to use, and where to put them. But before we sign off on this, a true professional does one last reality check, making sure the design is actually efficient. We do this by checking something called luminous efficacy. Now, it sounds complicated, but it's really just a measure of bang for your buck. How many lumens of light do you get for every watt of electricity you use? For instance, a modern LED might give us 1,000 lumens for just 10 watts. An old incandescent bulb? That would need 50 watts to produce the exact same amount of light.
And that is the bottom line. Choosing an inefficient fixture means your client gets the exact same brightness, but their energy bill is 5 times higher. That's not just wasteful, it's a genuinely bad design. A pro always checks the efficacy.
Okay, let's put this all together.
we're going to do one final walkthrough of the entire process, from start to finish.
So here's our project brief, all in one place. Every single calculation we made came from these key numbers: the room's area, the brightness we wanted, our real-world factors, and of course, the specific fixture we chose.
And here's the whole process in 3 simple steps. So, step 1, we calculated our total real-world light needed, which came out to 5,000 lumens. Step 2, we figured out that meant we needed 5 of our 1,000 lumen fixtures. And finally, step 3, we used our spacing rule to place them about 3 meters apart. And we're done.
And there you have it, the final plan. We went from a totally empty room and just a few simple formulas to a complete, professional lighting design. Every single fixture you see here is placed with a purpose, and it's all backed by math. So, the most important point is this. Don't just memorize these equations. Understand what they do. One formula controls brightness, another controls the quantity of lights, a third one handles the spacing, and that last one checks for efficiency. If you get those 4 concepts, you can design pretty much any space.
So you now have the professional's toolkit, and you have the workflow. You know how to translate math into a real-world plan. So really the only question left is, what are you going to design?